Hey, what's up gamers? Anaris here with another exciting StarCraft 2 broadcast. Today, I am very happy to bring you a match from the Next clan between Sickness, spawning as the purple Protoss down in the bottom left position, against Storm, the red Terran, up in the top right position. Now, this is not a map that I have cast on before, so I'm just going to review it very quickly. The main base out here leads to the natural expansion, which the choke point's pretty much just right here. It's kind of a wide area. There is another ramp that is blocked off partially by a set of destructible debris, with a third or a second entrance leading down to an expansion with a full mineral count. Moving downwards towards the middle of the map, you see there is one expansion with only 6 minerals, but one rich Vespine geyser, and a few other expansions littered around, mirrored on the same side. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I've had a lot of requests come in to show more of Sickness, his style of play. He's kind of an up-and-coming player within the community, having already established himself with some very sweet games. And I'm not going to make any sick jokes, but we'll just say this guy can definitely carry his weight. Storm, on the other hand, I actually haven't seen too much of him. I've seen 1 or 2 games. That's about it. So really, I'm looking to see a good impression from him as well, as he is going to be opening up, it looks like, without a gas so far. So without that gas going down, well, we still have a little bit of time, but I'm going to be leaning towards something along the lines of an early expansion, possibly one Rax expand. There's a nice long distance between these two players, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually saw both players do that. We, of course, have Sickness over here sitting currently on 15 supply. He actually may be saving up for a Nexus as well. We see he's floating at almost 200 minerals right now, and Terran, of course, sitting at around 150 or so himself. So there goes the orbital command. Everything is looking pretty good in that regard. So pretty much as I would expect to see a nice long macro battle. That is definitely what I'm hoping for. Now this is actually really interesting. Sickness dropping this double gas like this, waiting until he had a couple extra probes, getting that extra mineral income, and then going this route could lead him to some kind of tech play in a little while. I'm not exactly sure. Having this double cast around the same time as the cybernetics core, I'm sure, will lead into something very special here. But for now, we see up here the Terran player going ahead with that command center, drop that down. Again, no gas. But the Protoss pretty much knew what was going on there going into this. He kept his probe around long enough to get an idea. And, yeah, so Storm should be able to basically transition into whatever the heck he wants to for now, because he shouldn't be facing a whole lot of pressure from Sickness, getting this double gas like he is. He's going to be able to field a couple Stalkers, maybe come up, harass the Marines. You see there's 2 of them just sitting right here, and also dumping down a few additional barracks as well. We do have the gas going down now, finally. I might see a tech lab come on here in just a very brief few moments, get some upgrades starting. And my transition, I'm thinking he's going to stay with the typical bio play. Marauder, Viking, Medevac, things of that sort. Also getting some ghosts later on, depending on pretty much what the Protoss player does. Looking down here, still a little early to tell. We don't see anything. We see that double gas kind of leading into basically just double Stalker production, getting that gateway or warp gate technology researched. Not expanding yet, though. I think this Stalker, once he comes out and sees that his opponent has got that bunker up, just a few Marines, that's it, he's going to know that command center is going to be floating around somewhere in here. He might be able to pop up and see it, but he'd be taking a lot of damage actually doing that. Instead, I think he's being very smart. He's using the Stalker, actually bringing out a few additional ones, pretty much just to get map control, watch the watchtowers, pop up, maybe catch a stray Marine or 2 if there are any. Of course, he does not know that there are not at this point. But there is one scout coming in for Storm. He's going to spot that there's no expansion. So he knows that once that heads down there, he's going to have an economic lead. Looking at the Protoss, we see a robotics facility is going down. And we also do have that Stalker deciding to come up and poke and prod in Storm's base. We've got that depot going down, pretty much just going to make sure nothing can actually run by here. No detection just yet. Around the 630 mark, I mean, we really don't need it at this point. But there's that tech lab getting concussive shells right off the bat. Very good choice, I think, especially since we have these Stalkers running around here, causing some trouble for the Terran player. Knocking out this depot is not really that big of a deal. But what is a big deal is, basically keeping them contained. Any Marine scouts that decide to go out, they're going to get picked off by these Stalkers. And now we see that, Storm is actually tired of this, and he's going to be losing one Marine. Oh, almost a second one there. But these Stalkers are going down. Is it a worthy trade-off? I don't know. You've seen 2 Marines so far and one Marauder, so I'd say it's pretty close to being even. We, of course, can see that right there. But having done a nice job microing, picked off another Marine or 2, he's got to be very careful. Oh no, he loses another Stalker, bringing him down to just 1 so far, which with 2 sentries, I think he'll still be in a good position. He's got this expansion, about 50% complete. The Terran has now cleared off the ramp though, so he's going to be able to use up some of that energy, drop down some mules, and really kick his economy into high gear. I'm not really convinced that he's in the best place at this point to put some pressure now, even though he has gained a slight army advantage. We, of course, can see that 14 Marines, 2 Marauders. But as far as what he can actually do with it, not that much. He doesn't have STEM. It's on the way, about 20% complete there. And only one of his barracks actually has had a completed add-on. Of course, that tech lab just finished a second ago, and also there's the reactor. So with the Weapons 1 on the way, that'll help out a good bit. You see, he's going to be running around looking to do a little bit of controlling of the map himself. We, of course, can compare the armies now and see the Protoss still sitting a little bit down right now. He's got that Immortal, so he's going to be able to hold the high ground with force fields, deal with those Marauders should they actually decide to run up. But Sickness, you see he's forced to withdraw now, so he knows that he's pretty much lost control of the map here, and he's going to really have to get some great force fields. Oh man, Terran running up. Oh, I was about to say, I don't know if that would end well. If that force could get force fielded in half without that stem upgrade, it would be really, really difficult. Although, Protoss doesn't really have a lot of ground damage soakers. You see, he's only got 1 Zealot there and a bunch of support units, so he has to be very careful with this Immortal, as pretty much the Marines and Marauders are not going to have a lot except for force fields, keeping them between the Immortal and themselves. So here we go, a couple force fields going down, actually, as the Protoss losing 1 Zealot to kill 2 Marines and a lot of energy. I feel like, actually, Sickness came out behind in that, having lost all that energy there, just to basically break even with that Zealot, but he's bringing in a few more, so that's good. And we, of course, can see that the Terran player is working on taking out that set of destructible debris while continuing to build up his own forces here. He's got the starport on the way, he's got the reactor beside it building on the factory, so we're going to see some of those medevacs come into play here. And now, what is this, folks? We do have a Dark Shrine just about complete, as well as a Warp Prism heading over to the bottom right-hand side of the map. The Terran player is actually pretty far out of position to deal with this right now. You see, he's got pretty much all of his forces out here in the middle of the map. He does have a healthy supply of Marauders. So in comparing him with his opponent's just straight up army, I feel like Sickness is not in a great position, especially since you have to hold a lot of force fields to keep that ramp safe. But Sickness coming up here with 2 Dark Templar, looking down here, he does have 3 gateways and 2 additional ones on the way. And here comes the Warp Prism now, going to be heading into the mineral line. Will the Terran player see it and react in time? Yes, he does. Very, very nice reaction time there. Working on taking on the armory, maybe trying to delay some upgrades. But looking here, we see more Dark Templar are going to be harassing the mineral line. One of them actually getting in there, but look at this counterattack, man. You see that NEXSickness is not prepared for this. Drops a few force fields, but it's only going to delay the inevitable, especially since the fact that he's still trying to engage here with all these Marauders and Marines on the front line still able to fire. Really not a wise move. He's doing everything he can here to delay, but there's that stem, and this expansion is pretty much, you can just write this one off, man. I do want to point out, while this is going on, these Dark Templar have completely locked down the mineral line for the main base. You see the natural is still going. There's a turret going up there, so that should be safe with all those SCVs there. But the main is suffering some pretty heavy damage with these 3 DTs running around. But that's not really a whole lot compared to what the Terran player up here is doing. You see, whereas the Protoss player is really doing these kind of attacks all over the place, trying to keep the Terran player not able to really, just use one scan and kill all the DTs. This Terran is a lot more focused. He's working on just taking out the expansion. The probe count, we can just see right now the losses 19 to 25. So both players have lost a significant amount of workers thus far into the game, with these Dark Templar still working on taking out the structures. You see, he's not really even worried about lifting off at this point. And you see, Storm is now supply blocked, but with such a big advantage there with the army, we could just see the income 34 to 45. So Protoss is definitely still in the game, I feel like, but his gas income has been completely shut off. You see he did lift off that command center to keep it safe there, but he doesn't quite have enough to deal with this. You see that one DT is actually doing a pretty decent job taking out some of these forces here. Another Marauder or two, actually, yep, there we go. It's almost paid for itself right there. So, overall, units lost. You see, Protoss definitely suffered some pretty heavy losses thus far, but he is, like I said, still in the game. He's got this expansion up here that the Terran player does not know about. Of course, the Terran player also does have orbital command still sitting down here, pretty much just landed it out of the way so that way he can take advantage of the mules, the scans, and with the Dark Templar still scattered all around, you know, they've really been able to maximize the amount of damage they've done, even though they were not able to focus down a singular important target. They managed to keep the Terran player on the defensive, scattered around, keeping that mineral line locked down, and basically not quite putting them on equal terms of equal footing in terms of economy. But I feel like going into this, Sickness really did a good job allowing himself some breathing room to get things under control here. So now Probe's going to be heading over to mine, and basically this expansion is just security through obscurity, man. Terran player doesn't know about it, and, well, what he doesn't know probably will come back to hurt him in the enemy. Let's face it right there. But with more Dark Templar running around, this will allow Sickness to continue scouting out without really fear of immediate reprisal. This Marine, on the other hand, is going to take it in the rear right there. Gone down very quickly. Now, let's actually take a look at the army size now. We can see Protoss definitely sitting in an inferior position, 900 to 2750. Just looking at the units tab, you can see right there, only two Dark Templar, 5 Zealots, and 3 Sentries. So really, this just translates to, oh, beep, right now for this Protoss player. Like, if he gets attacked, he's going to have to hold the ramp with force fields. If this expansion goes down, then it's pretty much going to be over for him, because the Terran player can just continue to contain and build up on the army advantage that he already has. Storm coming up here, scouting out this expansion. Oh man, the word is now out on the street. The Terran player up here is going to have a new target. We, of course, can look at the production tab, though, and see NEXStorM is about 30% complete. We have a couple High Templar warping in right now, and if he's able to get these out, then he should be able to hold against this army, which is moderately bruised up. You see, a lot of these forces are sitting on 1 health bar. That's about it, and a lot of those are Marines and a couple of Marauders as well, so this force can become significantly weakened, but there's the Raven coming out. Very good call by Storm to get that early detection. And of course, the PDD will come into great effect later on as well. Sickness decided to go ahead with the Archon. Now, the Archon, very good unit, good for tanking damage, but also does a lot of damage to biological units, which you can see 99.9% of NEXStorM's army right now will fall under that category. One thing I do want to point out, he does have 1 weapons, 1 armor, compared to the Protoss right now, which you could spot does not have any upgrades. Armor 1 is just about complete. But this expansion looks like will be going down, although Storm isn't really focusing down the Nexus. He's choosing instead to split up his army a little bit here, which is not going to work very well for him at all. Storm going down, taking out a lot of the infantry right there. Second one going down. Oh, man. Going to be forcing a strategic withdrawal. We'll just call it that, as more storms are blanketing the area. These couple baller sentries, man, they're just doing everything they can to hold on for dear life. Actually, could have been focusing down one of these Marauders right here, but this force right here should be enough to hold off the attack, as you see now down to 1 Marauder. Okay, now 1 Marauder. I was about to say, I hope it's not just going to be running away there. But there's an auto turret actually taking out some workers right there. I wish you could see a kill count for auto turrets. I think that's kind of silly that you can't. But it's going to get taken out. And finally, the results of that, we can see it has evened out a tiny bit. The Protoss has, again, suffered significant losses, but the big thing is he's been able to hold on to this expansion, which right now will actually put him on better footing than his opponent, 53 to 59. So yes, the worker count's a little bit lower, but look at the gas income. That's really where it's going to matter here, because the Protoss player is warping in units like the High Templar, those gas-heavy units that you can make into those Archons, do the AoE splash damage with the Storm, really what he needs to be doing right now. So all in all, I feel like Sickness is actually in a better position than his opponent, but with this expansion going down for Storm, I think he's also going to be in a good spot as well. Very good call getting these Hellions. We do not see the Blue Flame upgrade. Okay, that's fine, but they will be able to come in for surgical strikes, come in, take out the High Templar. Maybe they're in a, maybe they're slightly away from their opponent. Also, can't talk. Dropping the mineral line will be quite effective as well. With these 4 Marauders, if he spreads them out, it will really help mitigate the damage that a Storm could cause back here. Well, I'm assuming that he's going to send it up here, considering the fact that he's going up to the north right now. But what I'm wondering is the timing of it. I'm wondering if he's going to be trying to use these Hellions to come in, possibly to the natural, where his very high concentration of probes are. If he can get past here, oh man, these High Templar are extremely vulnerable to these Hellions right now. It's just so fortunate for the Protoss player that those Hellions are not moving out. Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh no, they're going to be coming in here. Here comes the drop as well. You see that's going to be going down, annihilating. Oh wow, great storms taking out a lot of those Hellions. They're really reducing their effectiveness, and also that drop going down as well. You see that the Protoss player was basically able to hold on just long enough there. Not very focused fire, but those Hellions got taken out there in the end. So all in all, we can just look at the results of that and see that, yeah, Terran actually came out behind on that one significantly. Not executed to the best of his abilities, but I'm sure that he definitely gave it his best nonetheless. Oh no. Now this is something that is definitely not good. All that energy right now wasted because that mule can't actually return to base. I'm sure he's really upset with himself right now because of that. But we could see 64 to 78. So the Terran player still has the advantage in terms of workers, but with a robotics bay going down, more High Templar on the way, I feel like Sickness is doing all the right moves here. Storm, we don't see any anti-air just yet, so Colossi, I think, will be fairly decent. But, I mean, of course, the nice thing about going this bio play is that when you're this late in the game, you're going to have a reactored starport. You're going to be able to just seamlessly transition into that anti-air, no problem whatsoever, and effectively deal with those Colossi as you see fit. Does he have a lot of them? Okay, maybe throw down an extra starport, pump out a few extra Vikings at the same time, or you could just kind of change up production here just a tiny bit. We also do have the Mobius reactor, going to be able to get those ghosts some extra starting energy, help launch those EMPs a little bit earlier. Moving on to this point in the game, I think it's very important to have those out, considering just how much the Protoss player is relying on NEXStorM right now. Also the Archons, so many shields, so little life, so negating their health really help out a good bit. Or their effective health, rather, to use a WoW tanking term. But I don't know, does it even really apply here? I don't know. Forget it. But on to more important things here. Another SCV transfer going down. You see that Storm's going to be taking the southern expansion. Okay, that's good. That's going to put them on equal bases now. We, of course, can see the income reduced a little bit for the Terran player there. But 71 to 83. Things are definitely looking good for the Protoss player. Nonetheless, look at the army, 159 to 196. Okay, so the Terran is sitting in a really good position right now. He has a lot of Marines, though, so he's going to have to be very careful. He's going to have to spread out, do some very good Marine micro, basically trying to dodge these storms. We have a decent number of zealots, so they should be able to contain the player. And I think some of Sickness's forces are kind of scattered around as well. You see how he's keeping the Colossi back here, out of range of, say, a scan here where the Terran player likely knows his opponent is at. The sensor towers just barely don't extend over to the second Zonaga tower. But look at this, man. Terran moving out. He's going to be able to do a huge number on this expansion if he decides to go for it. There's only one High Templar, but no, he's going to be doubling back, working on taking out this expansion. Instead, the Protoss player, I feel like, is in a pretty decent spot. You see he's spreading out the High Templar right there. One of them actually managed to get away from an EMP, not losing all of his energy there, but more feedbacks on the medevac there. Oh, this is right for a storm. Yes, perfect right there, taking out so many of the Marines with the Colossi coming in, force wheels to finish it off here. Oh, man. The only problem here is that Sickness did not have enough tanking units. He did not have what he needed, those damage-absorbing things, to keep the Terran player away from the Colossi. And now what you have as a result is the fact that all those Colossi are going down. You see the Protoss player able to warp in a bunch of units very quickly to help offset what he's lost so far. Oh, that's just beautiful storms right there, taking out even more forces. And here comes another High Templar, fresh off the grill with his companion, who's actually getting shot up. Oh, 250 energy down the drain right there. 200. Oh, wow. Very interesting battle that was, I will have to admit. So this expansion, I'd say fairly decent defenses. You know, he's got the missile turret, the scanning. He's going to be able to hold off against any Dark Templar harassment. And same thing over here with another command center coming down the line as well. Might turn that into an orbital command, maybe. I don't know. It kind of depends on how things go. But now there's still a 40 army deficit between these two players. Sickness is basically just being able to use the advantages of the Protoss to hold on and make up for that army deficit that we've seen so far. The AoE splash, the splash damage has been used to great effect here. and really helped mitigate against a lot of what we see in Storm actually try to do. Now, he's going a little bit heavy with the Marauder production now. I think that's a really smart move at this point. He did have a lot of Marines earlier, and obviously Marauders a lot more of a hardy unit, able to, yeah, I definitely just called it a hardy unit. Wow, how retarded am I? But it's able to do a lot more in terms of damage soaking from the Storms. But the Zealots coming in here as well, they're actually quite effective. Oh, expansion denied. Forest Storm is going to find out in just a second here. He's not going to be able to land that command center. But as far as income goes now, Terran is still sitting slightly up. But look at that gap, is now just 3 workers. They're even on gas, so that's good. And as far as army size go, you see their Terran still has a little bit extra in minerals, about 30 supply gap there. Oh, but that's not asking. Oh, nice feedbacks there, landing on a lot of those. I think this battle could go a lot more in favor of the Protoss player now that he has been able to feed back those ghosts there and do a lot of that splash damage. No Storms, so that's not too good for him. Terran should actually be able to push up maybe a little bit, at least keep this expansion safe and secure here. With this income that he has right now, I feel like he's in a really good spot. Neo Steel Frame, that's not an upgrade we see coming every day, but I feel like at this point in the game, very smart move. And I do want to point out, let's see, we have a mothership about 2/3 complete, so craziness coming in that regards. Also, air weapons level 1, okay, so that's good. Mothership able to do some additional damage here. And Terran's going to be moving out, possibly looking to intercept the Protoss army. Will he be able to do it, though? Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. You see, there's still about a 30 supply difference now between these two players. Once that mothership comes, I think it's going to be kind of an interesting story. It was going to have some well-timed scans here. You see, there's no longer a Raven, of course. Really, at this point, there's not a lot of reason to have one. PDD would basically be worthless. Nothing here actually shoots anything that would trigger that. What are you doing, SCVs? No, go back to... Oh. I don't even know how to finish that up. Oh my god, what... Okay, I think he's just clearing up supply. That's got to be what he's doing, because really, there's no other reason to come over here other than just to clear that up. And yep, sure enough, I think that's what he's doing. He's got a few additional Vikings on the way, but he's not building anything up as a result. Well, looking in the base, we don't really have any indication of what he was going with. You see 60 to 86 now, so I think he's just kind of banking on the mules making up for what he's got. But as far as actual mule capabilities, we only have, let's see, 2 command centers that are able to drop mules, and they're all full on energy right now. Terran is sitting at around 1,100 minerals, so I'm not sure I completely agree with that. 2 carriers are on the way, though. The carriers always bring life to the party, man. Let me just tell you. And looking around, we see supply block now. Terran building a couple additional Vikings. Might see one or both of these players actually move out here fairly soon. He's going to have to watch that mothership. You see it's way a ways. And now we have some sniping going on here. Oh, feedback action. Morgos coming in, trying to do any damage that they can. Basically EMP, sniping off if they get the opportunity. Using the Vikings for basically scouting up here on the top of the ramp. And also there's that scan. Sees okay. Pretty decent force, a lot of Zealots, couple Colossi there. The carriers, carriers have definitely arrived here. And here we go, now EMPs. Oh man, this army is just getting annihilated by the Terran player. This is just not even funny. But one Vortex actually could save the day here, as gonna be losing this mothership though, I think. Look at all those DTs warping in. He's gonna be able to do a nice, decent... Oh man. He is going to have some party favors when he comes out of this hole. Oh, nice Storm landing on top of there with all the DTs, just annihilating that Terran army. I don't think I've seen so many units die so quickly. But brilliantly executed by Sickness, I have to admit. That was very well played. And now, you see Sickness has a definitive lead, 160 to 122. Now, with these carriers on the way, he's going to be transitioning into an air-heavy play. Let's talk about what Storm can do against that. Really? Vikings. One word, Vikings. Can expect to see a lot of those coming down here as well. Looking at the Terran base, I mean, you could see he is well poised to do exactly that. He does have a tech lab coming on the starport. Interesting choice for that. We'll see what happens. There's a second tech lab as well as a fusion core. Oh my god, we could actually have some battle cruisers here today as well. The battle of the capital ships, man. This will be absolutely fantastic game if we're able to actually get some of those out here. Most of the time, you'll see players kind of build those as an afterthought. Situational at best, but at this stage in the game, man, with that transition into carriers, the fact that this mothership is still alive, just very impressive. But I'm not going to lie, man. This could turn into an even more exciting matchup. You see, Sickness has pretty much just defended himself fairly well. A lot of cannons there. Likewise, pretty much Planetary Fortress is all around. A lot of energy dumped down there just a moment or two ago with all those mules. Going to see those pop off in just a second. More ghosts. Okay, that looks good. It's 59 to 86. So the Terran player able to keep up with those mules. You know, you're going to see it drop a lot now that all those mules have actually disappeared. But one thing I want to point out is Sickness does have an observer very close to this army. He knows about the Vikings, so he's going to try to plan around that. He's got to be very careful with his carriers here, because as we all know, those Vikings extremely effective at dealing with those carriers. So the Terran player Storm might actually be able to pop this off without even really having to engage this army right here, in which case he'll be in a fantastic position if he can just come around. Oh no, that poor ghost going down right there. But if he can just come around the Protoss, you see, fairly vulnerable right here, and there's not really a whole lot else in the way of detection for the Protoss player, at least for scouting. You see that watchtower is not being used. If that watchtower was controlled right now, he would be able to actually watch the entire rear right here. But more high Templar coming down here, trying to feed back any of the ghosts they can. You saw, I think they got one feedback off right there, and also that medevac, of course, sitting very low. That's a good feedback target. That one as well. These medevacs, the longer they sit here not healing anything, that's more and more of a liability that they become to feedback. So, a couple missile turrets on the way, pretty much just watching for Dark Templar, watching for observers, and the Protoss player just kind of sitting around right now. He knows he's in a good spot. Look at his money, 199. Now he's maxed, and he's floating 4.3k minerals, 1500 gas. He's going to be able to recover very quickly. Likewise, the Terran doesn't quite have as solid of an economy. He's got several bunkers going down. Looking at the income right now, you see it's about half, 59 to 86. We do have several pylons coming up over here, as well as some zealot harassment. Not a lot in the way of that, though. But you see the Protoss player actually working on taking this out right now. Will he be able to do it? Oh, man, it is taken out. Storm forced to retreat. Those SCVs actually choosing not to sacrifice them this time. Those SCVs are so very happy with themselves right now. What are you shooting at? Oh, I think there was a stray SCV floating around over there. So as far as we have Team Observer, rather, floating around, you see that oh my god, I can't talk. Observer speed upgrade coming into great effect there. And those SCVs are like, you know what, man, I want double, triple, no, quadruple pay before I come back to work, because you are a terrible, terrible boss. Couple battle cruisers here now on the field. Now, you did just see the economy tab for a while. You see how the Terran's income has kind of declined here. He's used up a lot of the minerals. What he has not used up, he's pretty much just, well, lost the ability to mine it. So, moving into the close towards the 40-minute mark, we have a very ballsy mothership coming out here. Oh man, the Vikings are going to come out and have a field day. Could drop a storm or two, feed back the battle cruisers as well. Oh, there we go, some nice storms. Not really able to do a whole bunch, but he did feed back the battle cruisers, so that helped out a decent bit as those battle cruisers continue to get back their energy. We'll continue to see how that goes. Now, one thing I want to point out right here is that they do have the Yamato cannon upgrades, so they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to those carriers. We also do have those SCVs, look like long-distance mining here. Oh man, here we go. Vikings looking like they're going to be moving out against the carriers. With those battle cruisers here, pretty much anything goes, man. You're going to have some great EMPs landed, but you see the force is nice and spread out. Yamato on top of the carriers. Oh man, he is just asking for it. They're way overextending himself into that Protoss battle line, and now you see those carriers doing everything they can to fire. Vikings actually should be targeting down the carriers, but they're not. They're just shooting at the interceptors. Oh man, that is definitely not something you want to have happen there. Protoss did a lot more damage than he should have been able to. You know, the Terran player just did not fire fast enough at those carriers. You see, he's still not doing it. I think he's worried about coming over and bunching them up and basically falling victim to a Psystorm. But now we have an epic battle here. Carriers versus Marauder battle cruiser. You see the Stalkers coming down here as well, mopping it up. And now there's a blank with the Dark Templar. They should be able to mop up the stuff there and the ground. But the air is a different story, man. Storm actually could land these over here, and it looks like he will be doing exactly that, landing them, taking out the forces. But the Dark Templar are actually mopping it up. He does not have any detection. He's not scanning, and he's just deciding to go ahead and leave them on the ground. They're finally lifting them off as we do go past the 40-minute mark, taking out the cannon so that way that Archon can get out there. Looking at the economy now, you see 77 to 57. Terran just does not have the reserves that the Protoss player does right now. He can just rebuild his army so quickly, and there goes that expansion as well. Storm, I don't know what exactly he's saying right now, but I'm sure that he is just not happy with how this game has progressed into the later stages here. Very, very well played, though. I have to say, Storm doing a great job with the harassment, dealing with that aggression from the Dark Templar. But you see, this is going to be going down as the probes taking out the command center. Oh, will they be able to do it in time? 80, 60, 40, 30. Oh, man, single digits. Are they? Wow. That was the most intense command center building I think I've ever witnessed. Probes managing to get those thing down to a single digit, despite the fact that 2 battlecruisers were working on taking them out. And now, here we go, folks. Massive amounts of Archons should be able to actually dispatch this relatively easy. Yep, sure enough, here we go. The mothership is going to be going down, but it's already done its job, man. You see those Archons just annihilating the rest of the air forces. Marines have a good position. I like what Storm is doing here, trying to use the structures to his advantage. Sickness not really worried too much about it, though. You see he's just charging in, losing a lot of these Archons, though, so Storm really making these units pay for themselves. He still has 1 medevac here, able to heal up on the fly, but now we're going to see these forces finally fall to the might of the Archon. One thing I do want to point out, he's just now getting that 3rd shield upgrade, so that's going to be coming here in just a minute. Command center going down, Zealots coming in to reinforce, and nice clutch liftoff there by the Vikings. Not going to be that effective, though, as there's the GG from Storm, giving Sickness the game. What a match, folks. I have to say that was one of the most exciting ones I've seen in a long time. Storm coming out with some great harassment there in the early game, kept the Protoss player locked down. He wasn't aggressive enough with that expansion up here when he had the lead. You know, the Protoss basically couldn't do anything about it, and then the fact that he took that risky extra expansion, rebuilding it, even though the fact that this one was still not really defended, did not have the army to move around and watch over this base. Storm gave it to him, man. Alright, so that's going to conclude this match. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you have any player requests or would like to see some particular matchups, let me know in the comments section down below. And if you can, like the video. It actually helps me out a ton. Just hit that thumbs up button as well. Of course, that is if you do like it. I mean, if you don't, just do me a favor, leave me a comment and let me know why. Now, I know I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to wrap this just a second, but I know that I've cast a lot of Protoss games lately, and I've actually got some very nice ZVZs, ZVTs, and also I think 1 TvT as well. That's going to be pretty exciting to watch. So I just picked this game, even though I kind of had that in the back of my head, because I saw, well, okay, a game this long with a player that's been requested a lot, I can't really say no to that. Alright guys, see you next video.